Hey, Vlad.
I used to teach English, used to be an English teacher like yourself. And the reason I booked your lesson is because of your background in psychology. Was it psychology?
That's right. Yeah, I got my bachelor's in psychology.
And education. You're doing a PhD in education, right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm doing my PhD in higher education.
Higher education. Okay. Tell me, please, what is the role? The reason I'm asking you, I have a few questions I want to ask you. And the reason I'm going to ask you these questions is because of my, how to say, disillusionment with teaching. So
Okay.
I'd love to hear your feedback. When I say disillusionment with teaching, I mean when we talk about adult education, which is something you are specializing in. So you're the person to talk to. What is the role of a language teacher, in your opinion?
The role of a language teacher. Um, I mean,
When we talk
the
about
short
adults,
answer is it depends. Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends. What are the adults learning the language for? Is it to advance in their careers? Is it because they're in college and they're majoring in a language? Is it just to sort of broaden their horizons, if you will? So I really think it depends. I mean, for a platform like Cambly, you get all those types of students, but for the most part, most of the students who I speak with are just wanting to just improve their English. They don't necessarily have a particular goal in mind. um,
but again, taking into consideration your background in education, PhD in education, isn't there like an underlying theme when it comes to teaching adults? Again, you said higher education.
right.
No,
Do
it
you
depends
mean
on the
like,
person.
well, I guess, let me, do you mean like teaching methodology as sort of the underlying principle, or like
Teaching,
learning
teaching
theory?
in general. Because you see, I think that language cannot be taught.
Okay.
It took me I don't know, 8 9 years to realize that language cannot be taught. Language can be learned. I'm talking about teaching language. I don't think that language can be taught. To me, the job of a teacher, not just language teacher, but any teacher, is to teach the adult student how to learn alone without a teacher. Basically, how to become an independent learner.
Yeah, I mean, I think much of the literature, excuse me, on adult learning theory would support that statement. The role of the teacher is not necessarily to teach per se, but to teach the person, the adult in this case, how to learn and how to become self-directed learners, how to feel
Exactly. Yeah.
confident in their ability to learn and seek information on
But
their own.
nobody's teaching that on platforms like this one. I'm not just talking about this one, just uh, language classrooms in general. Nobody's teaching that, how to learn. I mean,
Yeah.
it kind of, nobody, as you said, nobody goes on platforms like this one to learn about how to learn. But I think the job of
Well,
a teacher, the onus is on the teacher to tell the student what works and what doesn't. Go back to your background in psychology. I think that people who pay for speaking are either delusional or lonely.
who pay for, like on
Speaking,
Cambly, you mean?
exactly. People who pay for speaking, not just Cambly, again, I'm not picking on Cambly, I'm talking about language schools or companies in general. People who pay for speaking are either delusional or lonely. Have you ever paid to speak?
Have I ever paid to speak to someone, like something like Cambly? No, no.
Would you ever pay to
Um,
speak?
I think I would, to be
Oh,
honest.
really?
I mean, if I, like, so if I'm moving,
It's a contradiction.
if
You've
I
never
move
paid, yeah.
if I move to a new country, now I'm learning Italian, right? If I were to move to Italy, I would certainly pay to speak with a native Italian, and just to, would I pay much? No,
Pay to
but I
speak,
think
but
I
what
would.
is the benefit of speaking? You see, to me, speaking is a byproduct of acquiring knowledge. And vocabulary and grammar are not knowledge.
So you don't think that there's value in someone speaking about their daily life to someone else, and hearing about someone else's daily life in a
Really?
language that they're trying to learn,
Why not just listen to a podcast and learn something meaningful?
because
Listen
it's
to
not
to a
interactive.
random person to learn about their life and pay for it. Forget about paying, even for free. Really? Why not read a book and learn about Italian culture? Why not? To me, language is a tool for acquiring knowledge. Language is a tool for getting information. Speaking
Yeah, I
is a
mean
byproduct of acquiring knowledge.
that. I mean, that's interesting. I don't necessarily agree. And I guess the way I'm looking at it is that it doesn't need to be speaking on Cambly, for instance. We'll use Cambly as an example, or listening to a podcast or listening to a book. But Cambly and platforms like it is a great supplement. In my opinion, because
Talking
it's
with a random
interactional.
person, talking with a random person is an alternative to listening to an informative podcast.
No, I'm
Considering
saying
that,
it's a supplement, not an alternative.
but language is a tool for acquiring knowledge. That's true of our native language as well as a foreign language. Language is a tool for getting information. I mean, how can you say that this is a. And this should be so low in a person's list of priorities. Would a native speaker of English pay money to have a conversation with you in English?
No, because they know English. What's the purpose?
That's exactly my reaction. That's exactly my reaction when people pay to practice their speaking. Makes no sense to me. It makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know, it's very hard to explain. Again, to me, speaking is a byproduct of acquiring knowledge. There's no benefit in speaking for the sake of speaking. I mean, no benefit. I don't want to say zero, but it's just so inefficient. It's so intuitive to think that we learn to speak by speaking. I used to believe in that too. In order to speak, you have to speak. No. In order to speak, you have to get knowledge. You have to acquire knowledge, and then you can, for you to be able to talk on the subject of psychology or Bulgaria during World War II, it's not about talking about psychology in World War II. It's about getting the information. And once you have the information, it makes no difference whether you share it or not. Knowledge is the product. Speaking is a byproduct.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I guess I'm hearing you speak about two different things as if they are the same thing. What I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. What I'm hearing is, you're speaking about psychology or Bulgaria during World War II. Those are content. That's content knowledge versus a
Acquired
language
knowledge.
is
Yeah.
something. A language is something different. That's a different type of knowledge.
Language
So
is knowledge. Language is knowledge. Psychology doesn't exist without language. History doesn't
right,
exist without language. And the other way around. They are one and
yeah.
the same thing. Language is not speaking. Language is knowledge. History is language. Physics is language. Biology is language. Marketing is language. And vice versa. The reason
Yeah.
why people can't speak English well or you can't speak Italian well is because you don't acquire knowledge in the language.
And you don't think expanding your vocabulary is expanding your
Vocabulary,
knowledge?
this is byproduct. This is a byproduct. It's like imagine I wanted to learn psychology, and all I did, to me, vocabulary and grammar to language is what glossaries and footnotes are to a book. Imagine wanting to learn psychology and all I did is read the glossaries at the end and footnotes.
What if you just want to learn how to order food at a restaurant because
That you just learn your phrasal book. That's all you need. Yeah, you don't need Cambly. You don't need any of these language schools. You
I
just
don't know.
order
That's
food. Coffee, please. Coffee, por favor. I don't know how it's in Italian. Coffee, please.
café, per favor.
Yeah, exactly. People have survived without Cambly for centuries. Ordering
Oh
food and
yeah,
stuff. This
but
is not
people have
about.
survived without. That's a flawed argument.
My point is, learning how to order food is not what people mean by speaking, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
The problem is that people associate language with speaking. To me, language is about understanding. Understanding what you read and listen to. Do I make
yeah.
sense?
No, no, you make sense. I mean, like I understand. I wouldn't say that I agree, but that's okay. I mean, I'm really enjoying the conversation, and I wasn't expecting this, to be
You're
honest.
enjoying because you are getting knowledge from me. You understand? Because it's something. No, I'm not. I mean, you're learning things from me, and that's what language is for. We're not exchanging
Right.
vocabulary and grammar.
Yeah.
It's about
Well, I mean,
information.
I do see that time is running out. I don't know if you're a big fan of Cambly after what you've said, but if you'd like to continue the conversation, I would love to
Absolutely.
in English,
Do
and
I
we
look
can.
like I want to practice my speaking? But I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You have one life. Don't waste it.